Hello and welcome back to Unleash Your Inner Author with me, Amy Collette. As a book coach, this is a huge moment for me. It's a proud moment because Megan has gotten to the point where her manuscript is complete. So I'm going to take a moment to celebrate that, and I'm going to encourage Megan and any new author to do that, to take time to celebrate the huge accomplishment that is. And then we're going to get back to work, because there's more to do. Once what I call the meat of the book is done, there are a lot of little details, and those are things that are important, but also optional. Things like the dedication, acknowledgments about the author page, testimonials, things like that. We're going to talk about all of those things, as well as touch on the publishing process that includes designing your cover, going through the editing process, and laying out the book, formatting the book for readers so that it's inviting and welcoming for them to come into. So stay tuned. There's lots to cover and lots to learn about not only that, but even the marketing and launching of the book. So lots of juicy stuff in this episode. Can't wait for you to listen. So, Megan, the meat of the book is done.
I've written a book. It's a good book. It's done.
Let's celebrate. That's huge. It really is a huge accomplishment. How's it feel?
I think if I had fully understood or grasped the scope right at the beginning when we were making this plan to do this work, I might have hesitated a little bit more. But I'm really glad to have done it, and I'm really, really proud of. I don't say I'm proud of my work very often, but I'm quite proud of having put this together and having this out there. It feels like a really big accomplishment, and it's done. I've got a manuscript. I've got something people can read. I've sent it to people.
Yes.
People are reading it. It's really cool.
Oh, wow. Yes. So, I always say at the beginning of the process that it is a leap of faith.
Yeah.
You kind of know what you're getting into, but you don't actually, because you've never done it before. Sort of like taking a new job or starting a new business. You have an idea and you have a vision, but the actual process of doing it, you've never done before. So there's going to be some unknowns in there, but right now is a moment to celebrate because it is a giant accomplishment. So
yeah,
take a moment and celebrate. And, in your life, take a celebration. That's what I always, so often we forget or we just gloss over it. It's like, yay, this is done. And then you move on to the next thing. So I would encourage you and other authors, when your manuscript is done, to do something nice for yourself.
You're gonna laugh at me. So it was Friday when I finished. It's a Monday or Tuesday when we're recording this right now. So I finished it and I went downstairs at the end of my work day and it's done. I'd written like my last main section, like more like it was my introduction actually. And I went down and I told my spouse, I've done. I've written the book. And they're like, that's amazing. And they're like, are you going to take a break now? And I said, absolutely. I'm not going to start working on it again until Monday. Because
exactly.
I also have this sense, and maybe this is a personal failing of mine. It's now okay, great. I've got a manuscript, and now I feel like okay, now the work begins. Because I've got a manuscript, but I don't have a book that people can buy yet. There's a lot in there, and there's like the whole getting people to buy it thing, which is also kind of now looming large. It was nice to be in the process of writing because I was making this progress and I was, creating a great work. But now it's like, now it does feel like the real work kind of starts. And I don't know if that's a common feeling or.
Yeah. I think you have a little more self-awareness than most. So I think people don't always feel like that. I do want you to really celebrate and revel in the fact that you have, tremendous amount of work done. And of course, there's always more to do, right? So there's sort of like smaller details and then bigger details to take care of.
Yeah.
So do you want me to kind of run through some of those? Not to overwhelm you.
Oh no, you mean, I mean, I love details. Bring on the details. Bring on the details. And I'm just laughing a little bit because I probably think like this because I'm always forever telling people about their podcast. You can make the best podcast in the world, and that and a toonie will get you a Perrier. It absolutely doesn't matter unless you're actually using it the way you need to be using it. And I feel like that about my book.
Yeah, and that's actually true because you've written it to be useful for other people.
Yeah.
So how do you get it in the people's hands? So we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But so just some details about
yes.
So you've got that's what I said, the meat of the manuscript done. You've got the majority, I would say, 98% of the content done. Now there's some other little details, and you may have some of these already. Megan, you've got to now describe the book to other people to get them to buy it, right? So back of the book cover content, that'll also go on Amazon and in your marketing and all that kind of stuff. So how do you say in a short amount of space what the book is about?
Oh, I've got the best thing for this in the whole world. I've got a quotation that I can use that is the best quotation anyone has ever gotten for the back of a book. It's from my mother. And she said, "Sure is a book about podcasting." So I think my work here is done.
Okay, that's what we call a praise, or maybe a description. I don't know.
But no, I understand. I take your point. Like I do have to, I know there has to be like selling content, and I think this is where a lot of the stuff I didn't want to put into my introduction is going to end up going, like in the description, in the, who am I and why you should trust me. Because for me, that seems to make more sense getting someone to buy the thing than it does once they've already committed to it. So I feel like that's where a lot of that is going to go, and really like, here's the value here, all the great outcomes you're going to get from it in really sexy language, so that people would like to purchase it.
Right. And I've got some resources for people. It's in your course content, but it's also, I've got a couple blog posts about, how to write. How do you describe this huge book that's full of value in 3 paragraphs? How do you do that? Well, there's a process, So, it can be difficult, but there's, just like anything, there's a process and how to go about it. Of course, you want to put some of your personality into it, as you've done throughout the book, and, make it interesting for your readers. There's testimonials, those praises. So the people that are reading your book right now, they can write some very valuable testimonials and praises for why you should read the book, what you're going to get out of it, what it did for them, things like that.
I worked on that a lot today, asking people to start doing that. And I've been quite surprised at how willing people are, for the most part, to take a look either at the whole like PDF of the current manuscript or of some selected chapters. Most people are quite willing to kind of help out and do that. It's really nice.
That's lovely. Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes people are reluctant to ask, but people love to help, and it's kind of exciting. Not everybody they know has written a book.
That's true.
It's actually kind of rare. So they can be involved in you becoming an author, which is pretty exciting.
So I've got, do you want to go into the description at all? Like the selling description?
Sure. I mean, I can talk about that a little bit, because what you want to do, just like with different parts of your book where you're drawing people in with the introduction, for instance, things like that, where you want to let the reader know that this book is for them specifically, so you want to at least imply who they are. Like, I see you and your clients and your ideal readers very well. So there's an element of that, of like, this book is for you if you're this type of person, and it's going to give you this kind of content. It's going to give you this, it's going to solve your problems. You want them to know that this is going to alleviate their pain, solve their problem, answer some burning questions that they have. And so for you specifically, Megan, I would say emphasize what is unique about your book in the podcasting world, because it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. It stands out. Your approach stands out against anything that any other podcasting book that they're going to see on the shelf or on Amazon. So that is what's going to sell your book.
Okay.
Right. That unique approach for your specific audience. So that probably sums it up the best. No matter if it's a novel or what kind of book it is, that's what you want to do. You want to say, you really don't want to walk off and not buy this book.
Okay.
You want to pick it up now and buy it.
Now, just take it home, have a cup of coffee with it.
Yes. Buy copies for all your friends,
please.
all your business besties are going to need a copy.
Okay. And what about, because there's I know I've seen some of this in the materials you sent me, but let's run through it now so I can kind of have a firm list moving forward. So in a podcast, I'd call this the top of the show. The stuff that goes at the very beginning. So, your basic intro, your voiceover, your music, you're welcome. There's a bunch of stuff at the beginning of a book that I have often consulted to find a publication date, but never otherwise paid any attention to. So what is all that stuff?
Yeah, so it's exactly the same, where it's called the front matter or the back matter. So there's things that go in the beginning and the end. So at the beginning is a copyright page. I'll provide that for you. Testimonials, or what we call praises sometimes.
Right in the book.
Usually, at the beginning of the book.
Okay.
Do you want to know why?
Yes, I do.
It's basically, so publishing has changed a little bit with online books, because you can do that peek inside on Amazon, and you just see the first few pages of the book. So we want you to see the testimonials at the beginning of the book, right? So you'll buy the book.
Yeah.
Instead of, we used to put acknowledgments at the beginning of the book. We don't do that anymore, because really, people, it's important to you and the people who have been part of your book and your life, and in whatever way that you want to acknowledge them, that's in there, but it's not as useful to your reader. It's not going to tell them much about the book and that kind of thing. So we put acknowledgments at the end now. And
I never would have thought praise at the front.
Yeah. Those go, for the most part, those go at the beginning, because it's going to help people say, yes, I should make that decision, because they're peeking inside to say they've already looked at the cover. They're like, at least half convinced they should buy it. They've read the description, now they want to see, okay, what's this really look like inside? So they're probably going to get some praises, and they'll get maybe all or part of the introduction.
Okay.
So that's why those things are up front.
And about like, how much praise should I be aiming for?
So much of this is subjective, right? It's really up to you, because if you have 10 pages of testimonials, you're going to want to put them in the book. I would discourage you from doing that. I would say 2 to 3 pages max. And you want really strong ones. You want your strongest, most convincing ones, or ones from people who are well known.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Again, with the foreword, the reason you have a foreword by someone who's well known in your industry or by your readers is it gives you credibility.
Yeah.
It's saying, oh, this person is attaching their name to the author's work. Okay. That's a way to convince your readers too, that this book is for them and they should read it.
Yeah. So I received the foreword from I'm really happy to have a forward from this person. He's one of my best friends in podcasting, Tom Fox, the compliance evangelist. And what he included in the forward is very much, it's almost kind of a breakdown of everything that's in it. So it's quite a factual summary of here's what's coming and here's why it's cool. Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Because again, it's basically marketing.
Yeah.
It's saying, it's saying this book is cool for these reasons by somebody other than you.
Which is nice. Okay.
Who is a respected voice in your industry.
Yeah. So I've spent all of that time agonizing over how much to write about myself in the introduction. You did not tell me there were going to be like 6 pages of other people talking first. I don't know if that would have made it better or worse. That's funny
Yeah,
though.
but it's like, you sort of get that kind of uh publicity from other
Yeah.
people. And
Yeah.
it gives it more credibility if you're not, just talking about how great your book is, but other people are too.
Okay. Okay, cool. I can work with that.
Yeah. As a reader, I want to read that. I want to say, oh, okay, well, this, like I bought a book one time because it had a foreword or it had a testimonial from the Dalai Lama.
Oh,
And I thought, okay, I'm
yeah.
buying this book. And it was terrible. But that alone convinced me to buy the book. I don't usually see that where the content, it was just very academic. I wouldn't say it's
Okay.
terrible content. It was difficult to read because it was very dry.
Yeah. Okay. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's I did not see that coming. It never occurred to me that kind of the testimonials or advanced praise would go right at the beginning of the book. That's
Yeah. And again, if you don't want it there, you can move it somewhere else. But that's
I'll put a little
generally
there. Yeah.
how we do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Sometimes you'll see on books, particularly books by someone who's kind of up and coming in their industry, you'll see testimonials on the back cover or even on the front cover. I mean, if it's from someone super famous, you very well known, or a big name in your industry, it's worth putting a really small little blurb on the front just so it has their name on the cover. So there are all different ways you can go about it, but that's generally how we do things now is to grab readers attention and loyalty, that you put those praises at the beginning.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be
Very
kind of
standard practice now. Yeah. So then acknowledgments, like I said, go in the back now.
Yeah.
And that is acknowledgments and dedication and even testimonials are all optional. Not every book needs them. Not every author desires them to be in the book. And so those are all absolutely optional things that you can do or not as to your preference.
Yeah, just thinking about it now, I think I will, I mean, if I'm going to be going to all the trouble of getting this advanced praise, putting it in there seems sensible to me. And I like that. And I can definitely, if there was dedication and acknowledgements, I'm not so sure. You've been a main driving force of this book, and we've got a whole podcast about how awesome you are at doing that. So I don't know if the repetition is necessarily required. Yeah, I think I might keep that trimmed down, but we'll see. Because I've got the forward, we'll do the copyright type thing, and I think a little advanced praise. I feel like dedications make sense for like famous people. I'm always interested to read like Stephen King's dedication or Barbara Kingsolver's dedication. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's totally up to you. Yeah. And like I said, it's totally optional.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes a big impact on the reader.
Yeah, it's kind of like the acknowledgments, really, where it may be important to you, it may be important to some other person or people, but you can also dedicate it to your readers.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Yeah.
So that's the case where it would be impactful for them to see that. If they just want to get to the meat of the thing, then it's just another thing they got to flip through.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll play with that a little. Maybe run a couple of ideas to the focus group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in personal development books, that's often a thing that people will do a dedication either to a mentor, someone who kind of got them started in the business or in the personal development practice,
Yeah.
or, things like that. So, and it can also be to their readers who are, where they're kind of saying, I used to stand where you're standing right now.
Yeah.
And, thank you for your bravery and, going forward with reading this book. But it's a different kind of audience. So you get to decide. You're the boss of your book.
Okay. Okay. Good. I'll noodle on those things.
Okay, great.
Are there any other front matter decisions I need to make?
No. You'll have a table of contents, just
Yeah.
that's something that's generated automatically after the layout is done. And in the back, so we talked about acknowledgments already. The other one really is about the author. And that's
Oh,
where we
yeah.
generally have a bio of the author and a photo. Again, photo is optional. I would encourage you to include an author bio, because this is great for things, not just for your reader to know, but if bookstores are going to carry your book, they want to know that. They want to have, some information. Just gives people more information on why they should buy the book.
Okay.
Hadn't
even thought about that, but perfectly sensible.
Yeah.
That does belong in
Yeah.
there
And
somewhere.
again, it's like a podcast intro, right? You've got to give some information about who the heck is this person that you're interviewing, or is a guest on your podcast, or even the host, that you want to give them a little peek behind the curtains of why should I listen to this person? Who is this person?
Okay. That I will grudgingly do that. That makes sense.
Yeah. That can be
Okay, so I get all of this together.
Yeah.
We'll need a book cover.
Book cover. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And, just like your podcast graphics, it's important,
Yeah.
It and when you have a business, it's very tied in with your brand. If your business is closely, or your book is tied closely to your business, you definitely want to have it reflect your brand, your personality, what kind of value that it's going to provide to your readers. Just give that kind of look and feel that is going to resonate with your readers.
Thanks to the magic of post-production, we'll put an image of the book cover right here. Because I do have that. I've got team members working on that, and I've got one that I'm very happy with.
That's awesome. Yes, that's always a fun part. That's, just one of those really fun, creative parts of, I'm sure people get excited about their podcast graphics too.
Yeah, everyone loves getting the art.
Yeah, it's very fun. I love that part. And then what's different about a book is now, with a podcast, you've got editing and you've got all that kind of stuff. You do with the book too, but you've got editing, and we usually do 2 rounds of editing.
Yeah.
So that it's really thorough. And the first one is more about just looking at the content. Does it flow well? Do things need to be rearranged? Is it clear? Are there pieces missing? Any questions about it, and that kind of thing. So there are people who are really great at consistency that are that kind of editor. And then it goes back to you as the author to review and see, if somebody's reworded something and it no longer sounds like you.
Yeah.
That's where you as the author get to say, okay, I get that it needs to be reworded. It was maybe a little awkward the way I said it, but I want to reword it a different way.
Yeah.
And then you get to do that because, while we editors try to be very careful about not changing your voice, sometimes we just get it wrong or don't do it in a way that you would do it. So that's why it's important for the author to go through and make sure all those things are good.
Yeah.
And then it goes through another round of editing, which is proofreading. And that's the really fine detail. I call it the final polish.
Yeah.
Right. So all the, grammar, punctuation, all that stuff that really takes a detail eye to catch. That's your proofreader.
Yeah.
And they're wonderful.
I know, I married mine.
All about that editing process. Yeah, it's just a different mind, to just keep that level of detail and consistency.
Yeah.
I really admire that. I used to do content editing quite a bit, but the proofreading is not my thing. I
Yeah,
just,
and
I
I know, like,
can't
I think
stay that focused.
everyone's seen a book that has like I'm dreading the email I know is going to be coming saying, "Oh, did you know there's a typo on page 174?" I know it's because it happens,
Yes,
but I hate
it
when it
is.
happens.
Yes, I know. And it's a human process. Even with the help of AI,
Yeah.
there's still AI is not great at grammar,
No,
honestly. It's really not
no.
great at grammar. You know, human language is so nuanced that it's really difficult for machines to do it and for people to do it. And so we do it absolute best we can. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's a typo on page 174.
Anyway, well,
I
that's
hate it.
yep.
You can
It just
imagine. I do not like that.
no. I
But
think it, but like, just gotta. It's probably gonna happen. Yeah.
it may. It may.
Yeah.
I
I do have an
hope
amazing
not, but
proofreader, though. I'd like to give a shout out to my wonderful spouse who used to do this professionally, and is helping me out with this part of the book, which is really nice.
that's wonderful. Keeping
Yeah,
it all in the family there.
all in the family.
Nice. And then there's layout, and that's a fun creative
Yeah.
process too. So the layout process should also reflect the cover and, you know, similar fonts. So just, you know, so it has a similar feel, look and feel to the outside and the inside. Give the reader a consistent experience.
That's a really good
So,
point. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then it's ready for publication.
It is. My list is growing. It's a good list. Okay, so let's see. So let's fast forward to the point in time where I have all of this done.
Yes.
It's proofread, it's edited, it's formatted, it's got a gorgeous cover. And now I've gotta sell the thing. So what's the order in which I should be thinking about doing the work? So I know, like, there's the book finishing that needs to happen now. But
Mhm.
there's also starting to market it. And I feel like that maybe I should have started months ago.
Well, and I think you did. I mean, you've talked about having, you know, being in the process and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And that gets people, you got a lot of engagement on that. You got
Hmm.
a lot of people talking about it and
Yeah.
engaging with you about that. So that was really the start of your marketing.
Okay.
Even as terrifying as it is sometimes to, you know, jump in and say, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm actually doing this. It can create a lot of energy and a lot of interest. So you've done that. And then while you're putting all that stuff together through the editing process, through the book cover design and all that kind of stuff, you can be talking more and more about it. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and then you've seen on Facebook and all the social media where people do a cover reveal,
Yeah.
or they say, hey, out of these two or three, what do you like?
Love that
And
strategy.
really, the purpose of that is not always to actually just find what people like the best, because you've probably already made the decision anyway, but to create the conversation, right? Sometimes it is hard to decide between this one and that one and what font do you like better and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But it gets a conversation going
Yeah. Okay.
and gets people excited and interested in talking about it, you know, outside of social media, you know, in real life with other podcasters or people who want a podcast. So there's all of that. So yeah, you can do a build up. I usually say about 3 months, 90 days
Yeah.
before you launch to really start that launch process, about getting excitement and that kind of thing.
Okay.
You know, you can also start being a guest on other people's podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I do have a team member researching shows for that. So hopefully we'll.
yeah, yeah. So you've got a lot of options there, probably a lot of contacts in that space. But you know,
Actually,
you can do people who are speakers or
yeah.
want to be speakers can start getting on stage and creating that buzz, and even collecting like email lists for people who want to be notified of the
Hmm.
book when it releases and things like that. So there are a lot of different things, and I'll just say that marketing is not my first zone of genius.
Hmm.
But there are so many different ways to
Yeah.
market your book and to get the word out. You know, if you've got email lists, you've got landing pages for, you know, wait lists or whatever that you want to let people know that the book is out there and coming.
I want to ask your opinion on kind of, I guess, success goals or metrics for a new book. So like the idea that I've got in my mind is to have a launch day. And may or may not do actually I think I will be doing pre-orders and pre-sales pardon, in advance, because that's well, I'll explain it right now. My reasoning for doing that is because I run a conference in the fall. And I want to boost attendance of that among people who are going to be interested in the content, which is fantastic. So anyone who pre-orders the book, I wanted to give a free ticket to that conference too. Details below. But I did also kind of want to, because like that is to get a bunch of sales kind of geared up for the launch day, which I picked to be September 10th, 2024. And so, you know, whether the sales are coming kind of all on that day and you've got kind of a whole campaign dedicated to that one launch day, or you're doing it like I am and kind of doing it more in advance and more staggered. Like what is kind of the goal there? Are you trying to, like, is it reasonable to think, man, I hope hundreds of people buy this, thousands? Is there a standard at all? Sort of what, just kind of, can you add some context to this? Or even like how to create my own benchmarks if it is really subjective.
Right. Yeah. I think it is very subjective depending on your audience and on your actual network. So the way we've helped people be really successful in terms of getting a lot of buzz and getting lots and lots of sales on a launch day is to create a launch team. So that's people in your industry, people in your type of business, just anyone that's, or maybe it's power partners, people like book coaches, you know, other people in podcasting, but also other people who might work with a similar type of client. And I know you've got a lot of those kinds of power partner relationships. So it's really great to get them involved to say, hey, you know, we've got something that can help your audience. Would you like to help us get the word out? So they can send emails. You can do a little launch campaign with them to get pre-sales in your case, or to have people buy on the launch day, or both. And you can have them, you can give them graphics to post on social media to help get the buzz, you know, because now they're talking to their entire audience and their networks. And so it can become really exponential. And that's exactly what you want. And so the sooner you can do that and start getting, you know, because, you know, in marketing, people have got to see it several times to kind of start paying attention and saying, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. Oh yeah, that Megan Dougherty. Okay. Yeah. Her book sounds interesting. I think I'll go check it out. So it's really nice to be able to have this beautiful network of people who are helping you get the word out and be excited with you and for you to help launch the book.
I'd rather just write another one. But no, I think that kind of so you're exactly correct, right? And shaking the network tree and asking the people who do care about you and are invested in your success to help is the way to go. But I do find it anxiety provoking to make that kind of request of people. I find it challenging. And if you're watching this soon after this episode, it is going to be released kind of in that pre-launch window that I've decided to use as a strategy. And so you're getting to witness everything that you're hearing now should be happening around you on the internet. So it's kind of an interesting way that this is being constructed.
Yeah. It's really fun. So, I mean, you have a lot more experience in marketing than I do. So is it different doing it for yourself, for your book, for your company than it is for others?
Oh yeah. Other people's stuff is so easy. That's the way it goes, right? Doing your own is always, it always feels much more challenging. And I think it's not one of my strong points, is asking for things that are going to help me personally or professionally. Even though, again, as I've started to find, and asking people to be, advanced readers, people are very willing and happy to be asked for the most part. So uh, it's a good opportunity to work outside of my comfort zone. Let's call it that.
Yes. It's like what I talk about in my book, Unleash Your Impact. It's one of those barriers that can keep people from making a bigger splash.
Yeah.
And I mean, I experience it too.
Yeah.
And so, if you can put yourself in the shoes of a client that you would say, hey, now you need to go do this and this and this. It's the same checklist for you.
Well, actually, maybe that's an interesting point because and maybe this is me just starting to make excuses for myself in advance, but I sitting down and looking at the possibly far-fetched possibility of exceeding beyond my wildest dreams. What if, okay, let's say that this goes to the top of the charts. It becomes the absolute must-read book about podcasting, for the world, for the whole world. My business can't handle that. Like, I don't have the infrastructure to deal with crushingly overwhelming success. So like, I don't know if I am telling myself that to give myself excuses to not send maybe as many emails as I should every day, or because like there is actually a hard limit to the number of new clients we could take on or the number of people we could serve in our membership community. Like there's a finite amount of service we can provide based on this book. What's your reaction to that?
I say yes, and yes, yes. Of course, you can justify that approach by dialing it back because, I can't handle it. But when you look underneath it, there's something else there that's classic fear of failure or fear of success. We think of fear of failure. That makes sense. It makes like common sense to us. Like you would, you don't want to be embarrassed by, your movie being a flop or whatever. But it's also equally terrifying to think of it being so successful that you'll be completely overwhelmed. So that's one of those things I call a fear dragon.
Okay.
It's a barrier that pops up to keep you from and keep you in your comfort zone.
I guess so. I mean, I have been part of overwhelmingly successful launches in the past, and it was awful. Like it was a truly and genuinely miserable experience that I never want to go through again. And so I guess, yeah, finding that balance is a bit of a challenge.
Yeah. And so, another question that I see, people think they have to do a big launch all at once. And it doesn't actually have to be that. I mean, you want to launch it. You want to say, yes, the thing's out there, celebrate. But it also, a book is for the long term, right? Your book is not some like, something that's politically timing that has to be, out at a certain time. And it's only going to really have a shelf life of 6 months. That kind of book, you absolutely want to make the biggest splash when it and launch it as quickly as possible. Most of our books are not like that. They're going to be around for a long time, and they're going to be a useful tool in your business for a long time. So you want to spread that success out over time. You don't want to have it all at the same time. So there's no, maybe you don't want to do the just absolutely biggest global launch that you could do.
Yeah.
But have a strategy that is long-term.
I can feel like my heart rate lowering as you're saying.
I can feel your heart rate lowering right now. Because you've actually been there. You've actually experienced that, where I would have to say probably 99% of us have not been part of an overwhelmingly successful.
If I was still 23, sure. And if I could do, 35 18-hour days in a row, sure. I can't anymore. I'm not that young anymore. So that's
and you're smarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it doesn't have to all happen on one day.
Yeah.
Yes,
I,
you do want to have a big, you want to have a big splash.
and I want the
Okay.
feeling of seeing a lot of people buy in advance. Like that's going to feel really good.
Right.
To have the other people are excited about it, or at least they want the bonus, which is also really cool. And I do want people to buy it right away and have that kind of energy and that excitement. But exactly as you say, this I do want this to be working for the business for years. And like
Yeah.
really amazingly would be if this is a tool that helps me get 3 or 4 new clients a month into the future. That's
Fantastic.
amazing. That's like a
Yeah.
nice, sustainable, comfortable rate of growth that we can accommodate, that we can do a really good job with. Because I know one of the outcomes of over succeeding, let's call it, is service quality drops. You can't
Mhm.
just do that much work and it still be good. And I don't want to put my team in that position, let alone, not just about me. It's I don't want to put anyone there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the aspect of like, I know I did this where I bought a book, and I worked through it thinking I was going to DIY it. I was going
Yeah.
to do everything myself, right? It was kind of a how-to, but very much like your book,
Hmm.
where it's tons of value, everything I needed in there, and I couldn't and didn't want to do it all myself.
Yeah.
So a year, maybe it was 9 months later, after I bought the book, that's when I started working with the company, the
Hmm.
person who wrote the book.
Yeah.
So it wasn't immediate.
That's a
I'm
nice
sure some
timeline.
people, like this just happened with my book, Unleash Your Impact. Somebody heard me on a podcast. This was a fun success story. Heard me on a podcast, uh, bought the book immediately, and then made an appointment with me. So that's really fun. You
Awesome.
want that
Yeah.
to happen, but it's not everybody's going to, act on it right away.
Yeah.
So you'll also have that sort of longer term thing. So
Yeah.
at some point you might get busier than you want to be. But hopefully not in a way that's crushing to your
Yeah.
business. You have to say, okay, we're going to have to wait 2 or 3 months to start your podcast.
Okay, it's a good happy medium. I think I can
Yeah.
work with that because yeah, it's I guess and it really I guess it's fear of success would be exactly what it is, but I like to think it's possibly a somewhat reasoned one.
Yeah. Yeah. There is the real possibility of that happening. So
Yeah,
yeah, and you never know.
hopefully I'll fail. I'm kidding. I'm
No,
kidding.
no,
I don't
no.
want
We
to put
don't
that
want
in the
that either.
universe. No, okay. I think is there anything else that as a new author I should be thinking about at this stage in the process?
Ah, yeah, I think you do want to start turning your mind to marketing more and
Yeah.
more. And to, as you always do, to service to your clients. But there's also try to relax into that celebration phase because it is a little scary putting your stuff out there
Hmm.
to the world, and just, let yourself enjoy it as much as you can.
Okay. Okay. I'll try. I'll try.
Because other people will be telling you how awesome the book is and really mean it. Be very sincere about it because it is. And, just try to receive that. As an author, that can be a little overwhelming. Like that kind of receiving praise and that kind of stuff
Hmm.
can be a little overwhelming because you're used to just doing your damn job, right? And doing the thing that you do
Do
well.
do a good job and shut up about it. This is how I like to live my life.
Yes. But now you've decided to open your mouth and
Hmm.
find your voice, write the book. And so yeah, it can be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It can be excruciatingly uncomfortable, because you're used to being behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
now you're saying, I'm willing to be a little more visible and provide this book to the world. And so now you get to own that.
It makes me think. I remember when I was in high school, I went to an arts high school and I was in the literary arts program. And there were 5 different arts. There were the performing arts and the non-performing arts. And we hung out. We kept to our sides, basically. There was. And so in the non-performing arts, which I was one of, it was us and the visual kids, we had our own little t-shirts made. It said, our high school non-performing arts. And the back, it just said, don't look at me.
Yeah.
And I'm
So this
really
is like,
feeling those vibes right now because I'm just like, I wasn't in
yeah,
drama, I wasn't in dance.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For some of us who are introverts,
Hmm.
it can be a lot.
Yeah.
So take good care of yourself, pace
Okay.
yourself. Don't do too much at once, but yeah, try to enjoy it
Yeah.
and really just listen to what it means for other people, because I remember when I wrote The Gratitude Connection, my first book, and I got this. I was talking to somebody. I'd just done some kind of talk. I had given a presentation, and it went very well, and I was getting all kinds of accolades, and it was really nice.
Hmm.
And then later, I was talking about it with a group of people, and somebody overheard and said, "You're an author?" And they looked at me with kind of googly eyes, That was the first time I'd experienced that. It was strange to be treated like a celebrity.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a celebrity. I just wrote a book. But in other people's eyes, they're seeing you in a different light.
Hmm.
So let them have that. It's okay.
Well,
Let them enjoy that, that they got to meet a celebrity author and just own it. Just take it on.
I will try to do that. And I feel I will say again, I feel like I've written a good book, and I have great confidence in that. And a great deal of it is due to the work that we did together over this process. Amy, it's been great. You really helped me make something I'm super proud of.
Yeah, that is so great for me to hear because, you've not only done it, but you've done it beautifully. You said you were just at the beginning, you said something about, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to power through. I'm going to do everything I need to do. But you've also done it in such a way that it truly is not just a useful tool, but one that's really enjoyable to read. So
Excellent.
congratulations. It's been terrific working with you. You've been like A++ student because you've just, you've blown through all your goals. You've done everything just superlatively. So it's been a real joy for me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who has been watching throughout this process. It's been great actually, it's been terrifying to share this with you, but I'm glad that we've done it and I'm glad that you're here. And I hope you go out and write your own book too.
Yeah, I hope you do too. And I hope you're as brave as Megan has been about sharing the process and really putting it out in the world because it is brave to have, the public view your process of becoming an author. But yeah, thanks for just being, brave enough to do that. You can launch your book, no problem.
All right. Until next time.
Thanks so much for listening. It's Amy again, and I just want to congratulate Megan on writing her book, and I want to help her celebrate. And I want to celebrate you, the listener, for joining us on this epic journey. It really is a huge accomplishment to create something that has never existed before. It's a work of art, it's a work of science, and just stick-to-itiveness, perseverance. And Megan has done all that and created a work that she's very proud of and that I'm very proud of as her coach. So the next step really is launching the book. So I want you to stay tuned on social media to see when her launch is going to happen. And if you're interested at all in podcasting or writing a book, you might want to actually purchase the book because you can see what's been created from this whole process. It's not often that you get the opportunity to buy something from a podcast that's actually been created on the podcast. It's pretty fun to have this whole experience wrapped up and documented so that you as the listener can understand all the different parts of it, not only for Megan, but for yourself and for every other author that goes through this process. you understand and maybe appreciate even more what it takes to become an author. So thank you so much for being on this journey with me and with Megan. And congratulations again to Megan on her book, Podcasting for Business. When you're ready to explore what becoming an author might look like for you, I'd love to talk with you and have a conversation about your book dreams and what it might look like for you to go through a similar process and become an author like Megan has.